So you are the new president of this great museum, le Quai Branly, and the fact that you are the new president has been perceived as a revolution in France. So what do you think about that?
Well, I'm very glad and very honored by the nomination, and I know there's a lot of expectation around it. I'm not sure I will fulfill all the expectation, but I will try to do something. I think the worst thing to do is do nothing, and we have to do something about especially the contextualization, historical contextualization of the collections.
But what about the symbol? There's a big duty now.
Of course, it's more on my shoulders, but I think it's also a challenge, and I'm not the only one to carry on with this challenge. I hope to have other people also who will see this nomination as a new step forward, and will be glad to work with me to try to develop something.
But what are your dreams? You spoke about an exhibition.
Yeah, I'd like to have. I like to put words into action, and I have an exhibition will be able, African art, for instance, will be able to give as much a voice to one side of the history and as much as the other side of the history. There's a good exhibition at the moment at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is called Sahel, and there's a fair balance, I think, on the two sides of the vision. You can have, you can simplify it by the white side and the other side, but it's much more complicated. But it's also the two sides of the cultural material culture, and also intangible culture. I think it's quite important also in the museum to bring back as much as we can the intangible aspect of culture, which is so important to interpret and understand the objects produced.
But there was always kind of monopoly of the idea and the concept from the white people and the colonial part, right? So could you change something about that?
I think you can rebalance at least, because the history is not easy to make sometimes, because the history is made by people who write, people who have the knowledge, and for oral societies it's sometimes difficult to be at the same level of challenge. But we should try to do something as museum people to give as much voice, as much place for this unknown, unspoken part of the history, which is a common history of the whole humanity.
And you want to re-observe the use of words?
Yes, of course, because the language is also part of the history, and even when the word has changed in the way you use it, there is always some part of the old conceptions with it. And I think the museum is a good place also to question the use of words, the use of some conceptions also. So it's a great work, and I think there's many museums started it, and I wish this museum will be able to carry and start also this work, this chantier, something to develop, something which will never end, but something you'll carry on also, because history is working at the same speed you are working on. You are working on history. The human society also changes at the same speed. So it's something you have to change all the time.
Merci.